Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Chopra. And a significant political development. The National People's Party has withdrawn its support from the BJP-led government in Manipur, accusing Chief Minister Biren Singh's administration of failing to address the ongoing crisis in the state. The announcement was made through a letter addressed to BJP National President Nadda by NPP National President Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad Sangma. The letter has expressed deep concerns over the deteriorating law and order situation in Manipur. He has made it abundantly clear that the sitting chief minister has completely failed to resolve the crisis and restore normalcy. Meanwhile, the centre has decided to send an additional 50 companies of the Central Armed Police Forces, comprising over 5,000 personnel, to Manipur in light of the security situation in the state. He has also given directions for parliamentary forces to focus on restoring peace and order in Manipur. Last month, of course, has been marked by a string of disturbing events. A woman was charged to death in Jiribam, and then a family of 6 was abducted and murdered in Bishnupur. A woman farmer has been gunned down. Not to forget, homes of 8 MLAs and the chief minister were also targeted and set ablaze. The question now, of course, arises is, what does this withdrawal of support really mean for the fate of the Biren Singh-led government? I take this conversation forward with Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, former DG of the Assam Rifles. We also have with us Dr. Thangzakup Tobing, Professor of Law at the National Law University. And we have with us Kesham Kishan, Advocate at the High Court of Manipur. Let me begin with Mr. Kesham Kishan. Mr. Kishan, what exactly are you learning currently about the situation on the ground? What can you share with our viewers of what's happening in Jiribam, in Imphal?
Regarding in the Jiribam, as we have heard in the news that the 13 family members has been abducted from the which is protected near the police force and CRPF came by some 40 to 50 army, and they have been, among them there are women, children who have been brutally raped and murdered, which is inhuman and which is a monstrous act beyond human contentment. And that is the Jiribam. And also after imposition of Armed Force Special Power Act in Jiribam and some other police output, one person belongs to Jiribam was killed by a state police special force. Therefore, there has been a crisis in Jiribam area, and due to the internet shutdown in the especially in the Imphal Valley, so we cannot heard the concrete news now. But as per the on the ground in Imphal, as I was moving around Imphal, that there is a huge amount of blockade of roads, and there is a layers of security measures taken place in and around the MLA quarters and where most of the ministers, MLAs are living. So there is a different various security measures has been taking place in and around Imphal. So there are thousands of army convoy has been sent, as already know many as they are.
Okay, unfortunately, I think I've lost that line with Mr. Kishan. We'll try to bring him back in the conversation. I want to bring in Dr. Toming in here as well. Dr. Toming, would you agree with the steps that have been taken by the NPP in withdrawing its support from the Biren Singh-led government?
The Manipur mayhem has been continuing for 1 year and 8 months. And the November 7th incident, then the November 11th, and then the abduction of 6 people from a particular family, 3 minors and then 3 women, and finally the dead body being fished out. This has maybe, that was the last, the final blow for maybe NPP. Maybe they now realize that the current political dispensation is incompetent and not at all in any capacity to curl or douse the fire that was started one year and 8 months back. And they also maybe have realized that maybe in Manipur, with the current situation and the heat being felt at the societal level again, and all the state machinery being brought down, it was high time that they should withdraw their support to the BJP government.
But at the same time, Dr. Toming, when news comes in from Manipur, especially what we've seen recently as far as the abduction of the family of 6 was concerned, and it's very clearly labeled as Kuki insurgents or Kuki militants, what does the larger Kuki community feel about that, in the sense that is the community also then asking questions of the administration what exactly is being doing about these insurgents, because it is at the end of the day bringing a poor name to the community as a whole, and that's surely not what any of the Kukis want as well. They don't want to be associated with insurgency and militancy in Manipur, but what are the efforts that the Kuki community itself is then making to distance itself from some of these insurgents and militants?
Personally, after this incident has happened, and before that also, when CM Biren wished people on Chavangkut, and then Mr. Ledpao wished people on Ningon Chakoba, I tried to console myself, and even I told my sister that maybe the war is over. And I think that was my way of consoling myself that this war should have ended and it should not have continued. But the sad part is November 7 has happened. Then November 11 has happened, where 11 people were killed. Then the abduction of these 3 children and 3 women have happened. At the very personal level, my analysis is the social fabric of Manipur was torn apart a year back. Now we have killed humanity in Manipur, and it must be condemned. Women and children, I have seen the videos, I have seen the images. It haunts me. It haunts to no end. Despite saying that, I also felt that Tonsing Han Singh, who was killed in the beginning of the war, and then 1-month-old kid was also killed. What I now feel is that maybe humanity is massacred in Manipur, and to blame, there is no one to be blamed, I believe, for the reason that we could have resolved our issue. And when a family fights, it is the family who to resolve it. But if we are going on killing spree and then we kind of kill humanity, maybe that says a lot about who we have become, consumed by hatred, and we believe in maybe showing off savagery rather than kindness and compassion.
Mr. Kishan, I want to bring you back into the conversation, and I want to understand from you. Has the situation in Manipur in the past year given rise to any sort of local leadership or community leadership, wherein members of both communities are perhaps reaching out to one another to figure out how is it that the conflict can really be brought to an end, and so that civil society, which is of course people from both the Meitei and the Kuki community who are not militants and insurgents, as I mentioned earlier, but people from civil society are able to join hands somewhere with the law enforcement agencies to really help in a way root out the insurgents and the militants that have taken over the state?
To me?
Yes.
Yes. Regarding that, during the assembly section, our Honorable Chief Minister has uttered, I think, that in case the Supreme Court or court some monitor or like some have directed to organize some of the meetings with all the community leaders and the legislature, he would have preferred. Prior to that, the Honorable Chief Minister has also constituted this committee, so which was eventually failed, as some of the communities are not happy with his presence or the chair by him. So, following this, that I would like to say there are also many people have also questions to us, also especially the people as the Meitei being majority. So why haven't you, the Meitei community, have tried to bring effort to bring peace and in the state, especially the intellectuals, has been asked by the many people who are belongs to mainland of this country. So accordingly, we also tried several times. Some of my team has approached, have sent several representation to the union government and state on I think September and also in another in May. So in that representation, we specifically mentioned that the central government and state government should consider all the major and minor demands of all the ethnic community, not just Naga or Kuki, and consider and their demands. So, and also we also specifically mentioned that their demands must be addressed peacefully without compromising the territorial boundary of the state, without compromising territorial integrity of the Manipur, and a specific action must be put on the ground for any violation of fundamental right or of the citizen. Accordingly, we also filed a writ petition as in the form of PIL to the Honorable Supreme Court. Fortunately or unfortunately, the Honorable Supreme Court have dismissed the matter, but allow us to send a representation to the union and state. So for any possible reason to bring any suggestion to bring peace and order in the state. And accordingly, we have submitted several reasonable suggestion to the union as well as to the state. I think that effect has come into play on the ground. I think as the Honorable Home Minister has sought for many, inviting several groups to have, and already one meeting has been. Unfortunately, the meeting conducted between only the legislature or MLA or any other sub-group will not be fruitful. If it has to happen for the state like Manipur, all the stakeholders must be involved. All the minor community.
Yes, I just want to understand from you then, would you say that there is now a major trust deficit with even the central government, and would you say that perhaps one major step that the central government can take is a relook at the current leadership, a relook at Biren Singh continuing in Manipur?
That earlier that the Kuki community has demand for the change in leadership and considering the change in circumstance in the state and considering the public sentiment, then at the National People Party, which one of their ally has been withdrawing, there could be possible that people wish or has already seen that the crisis seems to more of personally enmity between the Kuki leaders, legislature, and our honorable respected Biren Singh. But unfortunately, it's turned out to be a ethnic violence, which is extremely unfortunate. So that also some other people perspective on in other various people have several schools of thought. It is expressed on that way also. So perhaps we could see that the security measure that has been put into place might have been fruitful, but one thing we need to ensure that the temporary measures or temporary solution will not be fruitful in the state of Manipur.
Right. Okay.
The union and the state has to think for a long-term measures, as we have. If you look at the social fabric and the laws and political structure of the Manipur, the crisis is certain to happen.
Okay.
Not just the Meitei, not just the Kuki or the Naga. Everybody is discriminated in any other form.
be in the laws, be in the employment, be in the land, be in the everywhere. It's understandable that there is a less development in the hills, and also there is a unemployment issue, mass unemployment issue, especially in the valley. Also, there is also in the hill. So there is a whole lot of issues in the state going on that need to be addressed. That can be happen if the peace and order to bring on the state, and after that a proper settlement made between the parties.
Okay, I want to bring in Dr. Tombing back as well. Dr. Tombing, one quick question before I bring in our military expert into the conversation. Do you also feel that there is a trust deficit with the central government, and that perhaps one of the quick ways to address that trust deficit would be to have a relook at who's leading Manipur at this point in time, and perhaps relook at an Biren Singh as Chief Minister?
There is definitely a trust deficit, but the only hope for salvation or protection, or salvage rather, salvage is in the central government. So maybe this is a necessary evil for the Kuki-Zomi people. But then the November 11 incident has now concretized that distrust even further, and the effects are really felt in the Kuki-Zomi dominated areas. But then their hope lingers on a political solution which they have been aspiring for, because the very reason is we have destroyed the social fabric now, and all these incidents also reflect that humanity is gone, and we really need some statesmanship from the power that may be, so that such kind of inhuman activities are curtailed and losses of innocent life are stopped. This has gone on for too long, and nobody in the world deserves this kind of treatment, or this kind of very inhuman outcome to its own citizens.
Okay, Lieutenant General Shokin Chauhan, bringing you into the conversation. You've heard both Dr. Tombing as well as Mr. Kishan as well, authentic voices from Manipur and their assessment of the situation. I just want to understand from you, sir, do you feel that somewhere certain deep state actors have, or they have been allowed to be successful in peddling this narrative of there being very deep ethnic tensions, and they've been allowed to now continuously for the past 1 year abuse what was a very genuine ethnic clash or an ethnic disagreement which could have been solved, but somewhere they've been allowed to really abuse it to the point where within the society of Manipur there is now a belief that the social fabric is completely destroyed.
Good evening to you. Thank you for calling me for your show. There is no doubt about this. I have said this repeatedly on television and many talks, that no disturbance can go on for more than 24 hours unless somebody in the government is involved. The fact that this has continued for almost now 1.5 years is a sure sign that senior political leaders are involved. They have created illegal insurgent groups, and this insurgency is fanned by politicians and interested groups. Nothing can go on for so long. But the fact that these groups have been allowed to take away weapons, the fact that they've been allowed to take away ammunition, is sign enough that some very bars that be that in the state of Manipur are involved in continuously fanning this continuing violence and disturbance. As a military man, it's impossible for, and as the ex-Director General of the Assam Rifles, I can clearly say that the Assam Rifles or the Army cannot do anything till all the parts of the state are with us. In any circumstance, one force cannot prevent this insurgency by fighting with both its hands tied behind its back.
But Lieutenant Shokin Chauhan, what do you think then keeps the central government at this point in time to address the trust deficit, to relook at the leadership within the state, and to also perhaps bring in measures that would allow the army to really work with all its might? Because it's not as though the Indian army is not trained to deal with insurgency. We've had Jammu and Kashmir, we've had Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, we've had all of those areas where the army has worked very, very successfully to deal with terrorism, be it in Kashmir, to deal with Naxalism in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand. So clearly the army is trained to deal with the kind of insurgency that we're currently and the militancy that we're seeing in Manipur, which one has to be very clear that it doesn't seem as though this is not the general Kuki or Meitei population that is indulging in this. There are deep state actors that are sending in the weapon supply, that are sending in the hand grenades and other such material and ammunition which is recovered. So what do you think could perhaps be keeping the central government from really taking a very tough stance?
So, as a soldier, I won't talk of the central government, but let me tell you the things that, as a military expert, what would I do? The first issue I would do is to seal the border, to make sure that the Assam Rifles and the army ensure that there is no further infiltration from the border. That's the first issue. The second issue is that right now the government has put in the Armed Forces Special Powers Act in only 6 police station areas. We need it in the complete valley of Manipur as well as the complete state of Manipur. Third, all the armed forces, or including the CAPFs, including the CRPF, everything should be under the armed forces at the present moment, under a single commander, in this case the GOC 3 Corps, who is located in Dimapur, and forces, the Assam Rifles operates under his command operationally. So also should the rest of the forces operate under their command. All forces must be coordinated under the army and not under anybody else, because only the army has the authority to carry out these operations. Fifthly, all insurgent groups must be asked to de-weaponize. They must hand over their weapons and their ammunition immediately. Only once you are able to get the insurgent groups of both the Meiteis as well as the Kukis to hand over their weapons and to sit down and talk to each other, only then will you get peace. The border has to be sealed, and all the armed forces, security forces have to operate under one commander, that is GOC 3 Corps of the Indian Army, who is trained, who is equipped, and who is capable of dealing with any kind of violence. As you said, we've been successful in stopping the violence in Kashmir, we were successful in stopping the violence in Punjab many years back, and we have successfully stopped this violence in many states of the Northeast. So it's not a problem for us, but we need the rest of the government to work with us and not tie us down in knots or tie both our hands behind our back and then tell us to solve a problem that is being fanned by parts of the same government.
At the same time, Lieutenant Chauhan, like I said, is there then some sort of a security concern as well, or some constraint that perhaps you think is keeping, as I mentioned, the government from taking some of these measures that you've mentioned? Could there be, in your assessment?
I have been the Director General of the Assam Rifles. I have operated in Manipur as a young officer and later on as the G1 operations of 3 Corps, and then later as the Director General of Assam Rifles. I see no reason why this situation can't be sorted out. And once again, I'm not able to comment on the government. I'm not able to comment on the deep state actors, because we all know who they are, and it's common knowledge. But the issue is that if we have to sort this problem out together, then all arms of the state must work together under one single head. And all operations must be coordinated. And secondly, the entire state, not just 6 police stations, but the entire state, including the entire valley of Imphal, must be put under the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. And last issue, as I've already said, is the border has to be sealed. We must put more forces on the border to stop people from coming in and infiltrating and bringing in weapons, etc. Only then, once you've done these issues, will you have a cessation of violence. And the last point is that if after 200 years, in South Africa, you could have the whites and the blacks sit down together, have a reconciliation committee. Why can't we do this in Manipur after 1.5 years?
Right, absolutely. Unfortunately, I've run out of time, but I appreciate all the voices that have joined us today to take this very pertinent conversation regarding the Northeast, specifically Manipur, forward. With that, viewers, it's a wrap. See you on the other side.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.